So what if everything we think we know about success is just wrong? I mean, we all love that story, right? The story of the self-made hero, the brilliant person who claws their way up from nothing through sheer talent and hard work. It's a great story. But according to Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers, it's pretty much a myth. He argues that we're focusing on all the wrong things. So today, let's dive in and take that myth apart, piece by piece.
This is the classic tale, isn't it? We see it absolutely everywhere. From guys like Benjamin Franklin to those old Horatio Alger rags-to-riches stories, all the way up to modern tech billionaires who love to call themselves self-made. The idea is that the most successful people are successful because of who they are inside. But what if that's only half the story? What if the key to success isn't just what's inside a person, but everything that surrounds them?
To start poking holes in this myth, we're not going to start with some tech wizard or a business mogul. Nope, we're going to a place you'd probably never expect. A Canadian hockey rink, because it's there that a really strange and powerful pattern shows us the hidden logic behind who makes it to the top.
So what is it? What really separates the good from the great in the world of elite hockey? You might think it's passion, or endless practice, or just raw, God-given talent. And yeah, of course, all that stuff matters. But there's another factor, a hidden one, something completely arbitrary that gives a shocking number of the best players a huge, huge head start.
Okay. Take a look at this. This is the roster for the Medicine Hat Tigers, a top-tier junior hockey team in Canada. Now look closely at their birthdays. You've got January 4th, February 14th, March 20th, January 21st, January 10th. Are you seeing the pattern here? Almost all of them are born in the first few months of the year. And trust me, that is not a coincidence. It's a major clue.
This pattern is so strong, you could call it an iron law of Canadian hockey. When researchers actually went and looked at the rosters of all the elite teams, the bias was just staggering. A massive, undeniable advantage for players born right at the beginning of the year. So, why? What on earth is going on?
Well, the reason is actually shockingly simple. In Canada, the eligibility cutoff for kids' hockey leagues is January 1st. So a boy who's born on January 2nd is playing in the same league as kids who could be born in late December of that same year. Think about it, at 9 or 10 years old, a nearly 12-month age gap is a huge difference in physical maturity. The older kids are bigger and more coordinated, so they get noticed, they get picked for the all-star teams, they get the best coaching, way more practice time, and that initial, totally arbitrary advantage just snowballs year after year, until it starts to look an awful lot like pure talent.
Okay, so a hidden advantage, like your birthday, can set you on the right path. But that's just step one. To become a true outlier, you need more than a head start. You also need an extraordinary opportunity. Let's dig into what that really means.
This is a number you might have heard before. Researchers who studied world-class experts in basically every field, from chess grandmasters to concert violinists, they kept stumbling across the same number over and over again. It seems to be this magic threshold for true greatness.
So the idea is that it takes about 10,000 hours of practice for your brain to really assimilate all the information it needs to achieve true mastery. Even a so-called natural prodigy like Mozart, get this, he didn't compose his first true masterwork until he was 21. By that point, he'd already been composing for more than a decade. But that raises the real question, who actually gets the chance to put in those 10,000 hours?
Well, it usually comes down to circumstance and a whole lot of luck. Take the Beatles. Before they were famous, they got hired to play in these grimy strip clubs in Hamburg, Germany, and the gig was brutal. They had to play for up to 8 hours a night, 7 nights a week. They got their 10,000 hours in, for sure. And Bill Gates, as a teenager, he stumbled into this incredibly rare opportunity to use a sophisticated time-sharing computer terminal at his high school. This was in the late 1960s. Almost nobody on the planet had that kind of access. He got his hours in too.
And it wasn't just the hours of practice, it was also perfect timing. The personal computer revolution really kicks off in January of 1975. Well, Bill Gates was born in 1955. That made him just old enough to be a part of it, but still young enough that his mind wasn't already set in its ways. Just like that hockey player born in January, Bill Gates was a product of being in the right place at the right time.
So even with advantages and opportunities, there's still one more piece to this puzzle. It's not just about how smart you are. It's about a totally different kind of intelligence, one that's shaped by your family, your community, your culture. It's the skill that actually lets you seize the opportunities that come your way.
So let's look at two men. First, you've got Chris Langan, a guy with an IQ so high it's considered unmeasurable, higher than Einstein's, but he grew up in extreme poverty. Then you have Robert Oppenheimer, the brilliant mind who ran the Manhattan Project, born into a world of wealth and connections.
One of them ends up working as a bouncer and a farmer. The other? Well, he becomes the father of the atomic bomb. So what made the difference?
Langan's genius was constantly blocked by the simplest real-world hurdles. He lost a scholarship because his mom missed a deadline on a financial aid form. He couldn't get a professor to make a simple schedule change so he could keep his job. He came from a world where you don't question authority, so when he was faced with these roadblocks, he just gave up. He didn't have the social skills to make the system bend for him.
Now compare that to Oppenheimer. While he was studying at Cambridge, he tried to poison his tutor. I mean, that should have been a career-ending, life-destroying event. But his wealthy, well-connected parents got involved, and Oppenheimer successfully negotiated his way out of it with, get this, nothing more than probation. Oppenheimer knew how to make the system work for him.
That skill is what psychologist Robert Sternberg calls practical intelligence. It's not about book smarts. It's what we'd call street smarts. It's knowing what to say, and when to say it, and how to say it to get what you want. And crucially, it's not something you're born with, it's something you learn from your environment.
A sociologist named Annette Leroux found that parenting styles often split along class lines. Wealthier parents tend to practice what she calls concerted cultivation. Think of it like a gardener, actively managing a child's skills, teaching them to ask questions and challenge authority. This creates a sense of entitlement. In contrast, poorer parents often use an approach of natural growth, providing love and care but letting children find their own way. This tends to teach deference to authority and can create a sense of powerlessness when dealing with big institutions.
And that's the whole story right there. Oppenheimer was a product of concerted cultivation. He was taught from a young age how to negotiate, how to advocate for himself, how to be comfortable in the halls of power. Langan wasn't. His analytical intelligence was off the charts, but his practical intelligence, the skill that actually lets you get what you want from the world, was never developed.
So when we put it all together, these arbitrary advantages, lucky opportunities, and the cultural legacies that teach us how to navigate the world, a completely new picture of success begins to emerge. It's not as simple as we thought.
The whole idea is captured by this beautiful metaphor. We are obsessed with the quality of the acorn, an individual's personal talent and drive. But we pay way too little attention to the forest that allows that oak tree to grow in the first place, the sunlight of opportunity, the rich soil of our upbringing, the lucky breaks, and the simple absence of disaster.
So the big takeaway here is that success is an ecology. The hockey player born in January, Bill Gates getting that rare access to a computer in 1968, Robert Oppenheimer talking his way out of serious trouble, they are all products of their unique environments. Their success isn't just their own. It belongs to their time, their place, and the culture that raised them.
And this leaves us with a really powerful final question. If we accept that success depends on all these external things, it totally changes how we should think about building a better world. It forces us to ask, how can we create more sunlight from more acorns? How can we enrich the soil for everyone? In short, how do we stop just looking for the tallest trees and start learning how to cultivate a healthier forest?